Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
And I hope the mic does sound right. Hi, I'm DK Will. This is DK Will Talk About It. And I'm going to talk about something that is I guess, a rebound off of something I talked about before. I did cover it a while back when Standard Chartered set a price target for $8 for XRP. But this article here from the 16th, today is actually the 18th of February. XRP price target cut sharply from $8 to $2.80 by Standard Chartered. Okay, that's a dramatic change. And of course, we're not just going to read about it, we're going to talk about it. But what would motivate such a change? What do I think? I think reduce retail investor sentiment. That's what I actually think. But let's see what the article says. The article says that a sharp shift in the outlook from one of the world's largest global banks has created doubts for the near term trajectory of XRP. Analysts at Standard Chartered have reduced their 2026 year end price target for XRP to $2.80, cutting the previous $8 forecast by roughly 65% after the recent crypto market downturn and persistent institutional outflows. Interesting. Institutional outflows, huh? Well, here's my thoughts on it, people. You're not behaving the way you're supposed to. You're supposed to let go of your gorilla grip. And apparently, we're not letting go of our gorilla grip, the majority of us who may still hold XRP, and it ain't enough. So they have to discourage you. And how do they discourage you? They give you price targets. $8 price target was to create some liquidity and make people come and get it. $2.80 price target is to make people get discouraged and sell out so that they can churn and burn some more. And if you like the content I'm providing, please make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, and then come back for more DK Will Talk About It. They say that we expect further declines near term and we lower our forecasts across the asset class. The bank's global head of digital assets research said, as reported by DL News. So what I did was I went and took a look at where are we at on the sentiment. Well, according to Coin Market Cap's Fear and Greed Index, we're at a 12. And you can see that chart there. That chart covers ever since back there, September 2023. So we're probably starting from about May or so of 2023. And you can see the bouncing and how we've been now hovering around the lowest it's ever been. And of course, I began to wonder, Fear and Greed Index. Nobody has ever come to me as a retail investor and said, how scared are you? How greedy are you? Nobody has ever done that. So it made me wonder, how do you come up with this fear and greed index? And fortunately, they tell you if you dig into it a little bit. They use price momentum, volatility, derivatives market, market composition, and coin market cap's proprietary data. The CMC Fear and Greed Index is a proprietary tool developed by CoinMarketCap that measures the prevailing sentiment in the cryptocurrency market. It ranges from 0 to 100, where a lower value indicates extreme fear and a higher value indicates extreme greed. It helps investors to understand the emotional state of the market, which can influence buying and selling behaviors. The index provides insights into whether the market may be undervalued, extreme fear, or overvalued, extreme greed. So, based on that explanation, the market is extremely undervalued. Remember the saying, buy when there's blood in the streets, buy low, and sell high? Well, one thought led me to another. And the next thought was, who owns the most XRP? Now, this article says Ripple. That's what we used to call it when it first came out. Nobody could figure out if it was Ripple or XRP. It's XRP, and Ripple Labs is the company. But Ripple's XRP is one of the most actively traded digital assets, supported by a finite supply in a publicly verifiable distribution system. And one of my commenters talked about mining and the fact that they could mine more down the road. And that's not true. As it says there, there's a finite supply, and that supply is burning. And a video I did not too long ago, maybe a few months ago, could be more, but not quite a year. I discovered that in the first 12 years, I believe, there was 14 million coins burned. And so that finite supply is shrinking, which makes one wonder, why would they cut the price target on it if it's getting more and more adopted? It actually has clarity beyond the others that are still waiting for some legal clarity, and it's in demand. Well, the problem is it's in demand. They want us out and them in. And so they give you targets like this 280. That way they can get rid of you at 280. That's all that's for. And if it goes anywhere near 280, which probably it is now that they're throwing that number out there, it'll go close to 280. It'll keep you there and keep you buying. And depending upon how much fervor they want to generate, it may go even beyond 280. But in any case, it's probably going to come down afterwards because that's how they create the liquidation. Money doesn't disappear. So when people come and invest and leave, they leave their money behind. But when they set price targets for you like that, my instinct is to be suspicious because it basically is not to their credit to have a previous forecast of $8 and then drop it by 65%. And then to try to tell us, well, the reason we dropped it is because of the sentiment. Well, they didn't isolate their sentimental value to just XRP because it says here that Standard Chartered lowered price expectations for other major cryptocurrencies, trimming forecasts for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana as part of a wider reassessment tied to macroeconomic risks and declining capital inflows. I want to talk to you a little bit about those declining capital inflows. Because if we were to go to the Bitcoin Treasury site, Bitcoin Treasury Holdings, and it has, of course, Strategy, who keeps the price afloat, has gone up by 29,720 Bitcoin. But the United States government has also bought 4,400 Bitcoin in the last 30 days. And it's an interesting site because it shows who the major holders are in order of holdings. And then it also shows movement over the last 30 days. I find that very interesting, along with the total number of Bitcoin that they hold. For instance, the United States government holds 329,693 Bitcoin. So that seems like a positive sentiment amongst those two players, does it not? Well, how can I wonder about who owns the most Bitcoin and not wonder about who owns the most XRP and how it is distributed? This article here from November of last year, it shows that according to ownership structure, Ripple Labs escrow operations has or had and probably still has, based on the numbers, the most XRP. Chris Larson holds 2.5 billion at the time. Binance Exchange holds greater than 2 billion. And then the top 100 wallets combined hold 68 billion, 68% for the circulating supply. And who does it include? It includes institutions, private holders, and unidentified wallets. That takes us back to the long term narrative still intact. Despite the reduced target, the bank's analysts did not abandon their long term constructive view on XRP's role in the evolving digital asset ecosystem. The note shared to investors said that XRP could still benefit from the expansion of stablecoins, tokenized real world assets, and blockchain based settlement infrastructure, sectors expected to grow steadily over the next several years. These developments, analysts say, could allow XRP to maintain growth in line with other major blockchain settlement assets, particularly as financial institutions experiment with blockchain powered payment systems and cross border liquidity solutions. XRP is not going anywhere. And so when you see these kind of targets where they cut dramatically, that's like saying, I'm not good at what I do. I way overstocked, or I way overbought, or I way overshot. And that's an indication of inept ability. And I really don't think Standard Chartered has inept ability. I think what they have is a part in the narratives long term. So we shouldn't have a short term view. Gorilla Grip, your XRP. I'm DK Will. That's all I have to talk about.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.